Hello and welcome. Nice to have you join us on the news at 5, reaching you from Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Dominic Iwiwa, and these are the stories and reports we're tracking at the moment. Gunmen have killed 9 soldiers and 1 police officer along with some civilians in an ambush at Igiro Masa community in Shanga local government area of Kebbi State. The governor, Nasir Idris, confirmed the incident while speaking to journalists after visiting the mortuary and the accident and emergency unit of the Federal Teaching Hospital in Kebbi this morning, where victims were taken. The attack, which occurred on Tuesday night, also saw the assailants set ablaze 2 military gun trucks. Governor Idris described the attacks as barbaric, with assurances that the state government would cover the medical bills of the injured and provide support to the families of the deceased security personnel.
What has happened has happened. It is a very unfortunate situation. You can see security that are supposed, not even supposed, security that are taking care of our people, guarding people so that the people of Kebbi State will sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Everybody knows that government of Kebbi State doesn't play with security issues. We are in Alwasa yesterday, and we have this incident yesterday. We are here, we have seen things by ourselves. And we have to direct the CMD of Federal Medical Center to ensure that those that are receiving treatment, they should make sure that they do the needful, and at the same time, those that lost their life, government of Kebbi State will do everything possible to assist the family. It is a great loss. It is a very sad situation, but we have to accept what has happened in good faith. Whether some of them are Christians, some of them are Muslim. You have to accept it. It has happened, it has happened.
An unfortunate incident. Now to politics. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, is convening its National Executive Committee meeting at the elegant Mona Lisa Event Center in Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. Addressing the gathering, former Senate President and ADC Interim Chairman David Mark urged members to unite, emphasizing that the challenges ahead for the party are daunting but achievable if they work together. The NEC agenda includes ratifying key decisions of the National Working Committee, receiving updates from state chairpersons on the party's grassroots activities, reviewing legal matters, and finalizing plans for upcoming primary elections. Staying with party politics, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it is taking active steps to resolve internal disputes following a Court of Appeal advisory in Ibadan, the Oyo State's capital, urging reconciliation among party members. A statement issued by the Kabiru Taminu Turaki-led People's Democratic Party says the party's Board of Trustees, led by Senator Adolphus Wabara, has set up a high-powered committee to engage estranged members and reposition the party ahead of upcoming elections. The statement adds that the National Working Committee postponed the National Executive Committee and National Caucus meetings that were scheduled 2 days later, while de-escalating combative communications. The party confirms that leaders on both sides have begun dialogue, exploring pathways to lasting resolution, and party supporters are urged to lower tensions and avoid actions that could undermine peace efforts. Now, the former Nigerian ambassador to the United Kingdom, Sharafa Ishola, has held a critical stakeholders engagement with residents and supporters from the 20 local government areas of Ogun State regarding his political ambition under the All Progressives Congress. The event, held at the Kensington Adebutu Hall in Abeokuta, the state's capital, saw about 23 different groups harmonized into the Sharafa Supports Group, a platform for the realization of his 2027 ambition. While thanking his supporters for believing in him, Ambassador Ishola seized the occasion to throw his weight behind the re-election of President Bola Tinubu in 2027.
The Kensington Adebutu Hall in Abeokuta, Ogun State was filled with associates and friends in a powerful show of support for Ambassador Sarafa Ishola's 2027 governorship aspiration under the All Progressives Congress. A prominent leader, George Fadairo, described Ambassador Ishola as a man with a mission and a consummate politician who must be supported.
We are here to say Sarafa is our governor. Come 2027, you will have heard of so many good things he has done. When he was secretary to government, he became minister, he did a lot of that. He went to UK as ambassador, he had a lot of reformation. He corrected the things that are not correct. And when he came back, for the first time ever, he was the first ambassador who came back home that they made recession for.
In his response, Ambassador Ishola promised not to betray the confidence reposed in him by his teeming supporters.
The purpose of our gathering today is to harmonize all the support groups in support of the ambition of Sarafa Tunji Ishola. And I want to also acknowledge your efforts. Some of you have embarked on this program for over 2 years. I will never take you for granted. But as we move on, it's very necessary to harmonize in various local governments so that we continue to stand together and bond together to be able to achieve our desired objective.
He also expressed his support for President Bola Tinubu's re-election in 2027.
For us to move forward as a country, these economic reforms are necessary to restructure our country and put our country on the path of prosperity. It is on these accounts that I want all of you to help me endorse Mr. President for second term. On your mandate we shall stand.
Everybody, that's all.
On your mandate we shall stand. Okay.
On your mandate, on your mandate, on your mandate we shall stand.
The inauguration of the Sarafa Support Group represents a strategic milestone in the mobilization of voters for the 2027 governorship race.
And our reactions continue to trail the visit of the Vice President Kashim Shettima to Yola, the Adamawa State's capital, for the grand reception of Governor Umaru Fintiri into the All Progressives Congress. Political actors in the state say the event has left significant marks on the political landscape of the state, as well as alerting political calculations.
Coming shortly on the heels of the recent visit of President Bola Tinubu to Adamawa State, Yola, the state capital, came alive once again as it hosted Vice President Kashim Shettima. In his entourage were the national chairman of the APC, Professor Nentawe Yilwata, 7 APC governors and Deputy Senate President Jibril Barao.
As the governor of Ogun State,
The grand reception was organized for the Adamawa State Governor Umaru Fintiri, whose defection to the All Progressives Congress is seen as a major shift in the political landscape of the state. The national chairman of the APC hands the party broom and flag to Governor Fintiri and has a task for him.
Sweep everything that is unprogressive out of this state. Sweep insecurity back, sweep poverty out, sweep lack of education, sweep anything that is unprogressive out of Adamawa State, and ensure that we have the more progressive governance in the state.
Reactions by major political actors in the state point to the fact that Adamawa State is now properly aligned with the center.
It is a sign that there has been a fusion of great men that understand what politics is, a fusion of a man that knows how to win, and then a party system that is ready to accommodate those that can deliver on the mandate.
it's a very
great achievement for the people of Adamawa State, in view of the fact that the governor has made a lot of developmental strides in the state.
The government program about the Fintiri is something central government to us, the people of Adamawa State. For the simple reason that will attract development and attention to Adamawa State.
For candidates vying for different political offices, this may be a new challenge, with more players coming under the platform of the APC. But stakeholders say it presents even brighter chances for the party. For now, all the political actors in the All Progressives Congress in Adamawa State agree that the common task is to ensure victory for President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 presidential election.
The Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) has commenced the distribution of relief materials to some rural communities in the region in response to periodic flood and economic challenges facing the populace. Presenting the palliatives, NDDC Managing Director Samuel Ogboko, represented by the Director, Education, Health and Social Services, explained that the gesture is in line with the Commission's determination to ameliorate the sufferings of residents of the Niger Delta region.
As part of its humanitarian intervention to cushion the impact of economic challenges and the periodic flood disasters that lead to loss of life, the Niger Delta Development Commission is donating essential food items and family support essentials to vulnerable communities in the oil-rich region. Some of the communities captured in the first phase of the intervention include Anyakoro and Oruma communities in Ogbea local government area of Bayelsa State, as well as Ogu community in Ogubolo local government area of Rivers State. The palliatives are expected to assist families in these communities to meet their basic needs and provide temporary relief.
The Niger Delta Development Commission seem it's very important to show this human face to those that are having hunger. It's one of the sustainable development goals to wipe away poverty and hunger. A hungry man is an angry man, and this program has impacted this community by bringing peace and hope for them to be able to feed for now, because I know that this is temporary measure.
A representative from Anyakoro and Oruma communities who received the items for onward distribution to households commends the NDDC for taking personal interest in their plight.
They have brought everything that life needs. Everything that life needs, NDDC has brought. Going to food, going to water, going to vitamins and nutrients and everything, all that we need. This will help in driving diseases that is usually associated with this community.
We want to see that everything will be put in place. In sharing formula will really be mapped out from the council. We want to ensure that the neighboring communities will benefit also. We cannot eat alone. We are a peaceful community, and want to ensure that there is peace among us, even the neighboring communities. We cannot have this huge amount of food items, then only this community will consume them. We want the Ologi community to be a part of the beneficiaries, which are our neighbors. They are very close here. We also want to ensure that the Otwegwe community, which is closer to us, will also be benefited.
In Ogu community, Ogubolo local government area of Rivers State, residents commend the deliberate steps taken by the Commission to ameliorate their conditions, which has renewed their confidence in the interventionist agency.
This hard time, you provide this material for us. Everybody should partake and become very fat. Everybody in Ogu is thanking NDDC. What you have provided, God is going to provide for you and your family.
I'm very much happy for today, for what the NDDC is giving out to Ogu community to relieve pains on some families and people that are needy, that NDDC is there today to support them. I say the good God will bless them.
While these essential food items offer temporary relief, the NDDC says it is working towards a sustainable solution and critical steps to boost its programs and interventions to ensure that residents feel more comfortable amid the economic challenges.
The federal government has unveiled a unified national framework aimed at lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty through a coordinated data-driven system. The initiative, known as the One Humanitarian, One Poverty Response System, was presented by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Mr. Bernard Doro, at a technical workshop with stakeholders in Abuja. He says the framework will integrate programs, eliminate duplication, and create a clear pathway to self-reliance, targeting 50 million Nigerians by 2030. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
This technical workshop focuses on the national strategy to address multi-dimensional poverty through a unified system linking humanitarian relief, social protection, and development. In attendance is the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, government officials, development partners, representatives of ministries, departments, and agencies, private sector stakeholders, and technical experts. The aim is to create a single framework to align poverty interventions, improve coordination, and target support to the most vulnerable.
How do we build a system that works as one? A system in which humanitarian response, social protection, and economic inclusion are not separate efforts, but interconnected elements of a coherent whole.
And I think at a time when displacement, poverty, and food insecurity increasingly overlap, a unified and coordinated system is not just important, it is very essential.
The minister says the system will introduce a unified national register to end duplication and improve transparency in beneficiary support.
Currently, we have scattered programs. OHOPRS will help us to have a unified national system. In terms of data, we have multiple registers. The current, our proposed flagship will help us to have one national register.
He adds that the framework will track beneficiaries from vulnerability to sustainable economic growth using real-time data and digital tools.
The Poverty Intelligence Lab will help us with data-driven governance. So real-time poverty analytics provide us an LGA-level dashboards monitoring, predictive modeling using the potential of AI to help us. It will help us to track needs, interventions, gaps, outcomes. It will help us to do our gap analysis, identifying underserved regions in real time.
With the launch of the initiative, government says the focus will shift from relief to results aimed at delivering lasting prosperity for millions of Nigerians. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Justice Emeka Wite of the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the final forfeiture to the federal government of Nigeria, a sum of $13 million linked to a Lagos socialite, Ms. Aisha Achimugu, and her company Ocean Gate Engineering Oil and Gas Limited. Delivering judgments, Justice Wite held that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has established the foreign currency where proceeds of fraud and unlawful activities. The judge further held that the Ocean Gate Engineering Oil and Gas Limited failed to establish how it came about the money. On the contrary, Justice Emeka Wite said that the EFCC satisfied all requirements for the fund to be classified as proceeds of fraud and to be forfeited to the appropriate authority. The judge dismissed the claims that the $13 million were gifts received into the company by Aisha Achimugu, adding that the said Aisha never came to the courts to show cause on why the huge fund should not be forfeited to the federal government. Justice Wite added that no single person who gave the monetary gift to Aisha Achimugu to the tune of $13 million was called to testify. The judge held that the burden to establish genuine ownership of the money was not established by the applicants to counter the claims of the anti-graft agency that the money was proceeds of fraud based on its investigation According to the judge, Ocean Gate Engineering Company did not show the business it undertook that fetched it the money and did not also show whether any payment was made to it by any of its customers. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has held that the Central Bank of Nigeria exceeded its statutory authority in dissolving the board and management of Union Bank of Nigeria PLC and has nullified the January 2024 dissolution unlawful. Delivering judgment on Wednesday, Justice Chukwujeku Aneke held that the Apex Bank's actions were ultra-vires and not in compliance with the provisions of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, BOFIA 2020. The judge quashed all decisions taken by the CBN, appointed board, and directed the immediate restoration of the bank's former board and management. In January 2025, the CBN had announced the dissolution of Union Bank's board and management, appointing Yetunde Oni as Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer and Maniru Ubali Rigim as Executive Director. Dissatisfied, core shareholders of the bank, Titan Trust Bank, Luxus International and Magna International, who claim to be the ultimate beneficial owners of Union Bank, approached the court, challenging the legality of the CBN's actions. In their suit, they argued that the removal of the bank's directors and the proposed recapitalization by the interim board were carried out without due process, and they asked the court to suspend the CBN, Union Bank, and the appointed directors from taking further actions pending the determination of the suit. In its judgments, the court nullified the entire regulatory intervention, granting several reliefs in favor of the applicants. And on business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria has directed international money transfer operators to open Naira settlement accounts with commercial banks in Nigeria in a move aimed at strengthening the country's foreign exchange framework. The Apex Bank says the directive is part of ongoing reforms to improve transparency, enhance liquidity in the foreign exchange market, and streamline diaspora remittance inflows. Under the new requirement, IMTOs will be mandated to process transactions through local banking channels, ensuring that remittances are settled in Naira within the domestic financial system. The development also aligns with broader efforts by the CBN to stabilize the currency and boost confidence in Nigeria's financial system. The federal government has launched the first phase of the much-awaited National Single Window, NSW, a digital platform which aims to modernize and streamline the nation's trade ecosystem. The event, which was attended by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, the Minister of Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, and other top managers of the economy, coincides with the government's ongoing move to upgrade the Apapa and Tinkan Island ports. Inflation in the United Kingdom remains steady at 3.0%. The figure matches market expectations but remains above the Bank of England's 2% target, signaling ongoing price pressures across the economy. This is according to the latest data from the Office for National Statistics. Analysts warn that rising tensions in the Middle East could push energy prices higher, adding further strain to households and businesses in the coming months. Core inflation, which excludes volatile items like energy and food, also shows persistent underlying price growth, raising concerns about sustained cost of living pressures. Financial markets reacted cautiously, with the pound holding steady, while investors watch for potential action from the Bank of England if inflation rises further. And that's it on the news at 5 at this hour. I'm Dominic Iwiwu. Up next is The World Today. For updates, kindly visit our website. That's www.channelstv.com. Enjoy the rest of your day.